Hello everyone, you have come to Tata Comic Preview channel. Let read together. Have fun. This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. The elders of the Luo sect frowned. The evil sky pavilion's cloud-splitting chariot? Prepare to engage the enemy. There was a flurry of activity at once. The disciples stared at the cloud-splitting chariot intently as though they were facing a great enemy. That can't be right. How did the cloud-splitting chariot manage to get past the barriers? Shan Yunzheng stepped forward. It's strange, indeed. Only core disciples know the correct route through the formations. How did the evil sky pavilion find out? There's no time to dwell on that. Are the people from the Tian and Yun sects here yet? One of the disciples answered, they're on their way. The elders of the Luo sect looked at the other holy lands. The swirling clouds obscured their visions. The cloud-splitting chariot had already gone past the barriers and was now inside the holy lands of the Luo sect. Seeing this dire situation, someone raised a hand and said, prepare the ballistae. At this moment, a voice rang from the flying chariot. I am Lu Ping. Stand down. His voice resounded in the skies above the Holy Land. The Luo sect disciples exchanged glances. Was Elder Lu the one who led the evil sky pavilion's flying chariot here? The other elders were puzzled as well. The letter was from Lu Ping, and the person who led the evil sky pavilion here was also Lu Ping. What was the meaning of this? Whiz. 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 Primal chi wrapped around the flying chariot's body. It changed directions and headed toward the first holy land, which was situated between the first and second peaks. It came to a halt there. The three sects had 20 peaks and 10 holy lands. The Yun sect had 3 holy lands and 6 peaks. The Tian sect also had 3 holy lands and 6 peaks. The Luo sect had 4 holy lands and 8 peaks. From the quantity alone, it was easy to tell how powerful the Luo sect was. The additional holy lands owned by the Luo sect were collectively called the Heaven's Virtue. It was named by all 3 sects and was flanked by 2 peaks. It was on these holy lands that the Patriarch of the 3 sects cultivate in seclusion. The evil sky pavilion's cloud-splitting chariot hovered in the air. Lu Ping turned around to look. He shot Ming Shi'in an imploring look. Ming Shi'in stepped forward and replaced him to maintain the flying chariot's altitude. The flying chariot stopped above the first holy land. Lu Ping was the first one to leap down to the holy land. The Luo sect elders were further puzzled when they saw Lu Ping. Elder Lu, what's the meaning of this? Lu Ping hastily gave an account of the series of events that transpired. When Shan Yunzheng heard this, she frowned and said, the Patriarch is still cultivating in seclusion. Isn't this inappropriate? That's what I said. Lu Ping was helpless. The two of them had witnessed how powerful the evil sky pavilion was. They dared not behave too arrogantly. The other elders, on the other hand, were more confident and fearless. This was the Luo sect's first holy land, after all. The core disciples and elders of the Luo sect were here. They had barriers and formations at their disposal as well. The evil sky pavilion was, indeed, powerful, but that did not mean they had to grovel. One of the elders rose into the air. I'm sorry, but the Patriarch is currently occupied with his cultivation. He's not receiving any guests. I request that you return. His voice resounded across the Luo sect's first holy land. Lu Zhou swept his gaze across the disciples gathered on the holy land and remained silent. Ming Shi'in got the message. With a clear voice, he said, my master knows Senior Yun and hasn't seen him in many years. I hope you'll pass the message on before making a decision. This was the extent of the evil sky pavilion's courtesy. However, Ming Shi'in was slightly dissatisfied. If he had it his way, he would have jumped down and clobbered them until they were crying for their parents. He sighed inwardly. If only second senior brother were here. He's more suited to dealing with pleasantries. Alas, the elder was persistent. My apologies. The Patriarch has given the order before he went into seclusion. He will not be receiving any guest, regardless of their identities. Hey. I've been polite enough. Tell your old man to come out now. Ming-Shirin was extremely annoyed by the small talk. He could not help but revert to his usual way of speaking. His voice resounded clearly through the Holy Land. Those who heard this exchanged glances. Ming-Shirin felt much better after his outburst. This is how an evil Sky Pavilion disciple should behave. However, when he felt the peculiar way the others were looking at him, he said sheepishly as he scratched his head. I couldn't restrain myself. There's no need to be polite with this bunch of people. Moreover, we haven't even settled the score with the Yuan'er sect. Hua Wudao gave him a thumbs up. Lu Zhou's expression was calm as always, and he did not say anything. Ming-Shirin felt relieved. Silence was equivalent to approval. The elder who was hovering in midair cupped his fists and said, "Why does the evil Sky Pavilion act so domineeringly? The Luo sect has repeatedly sent its members to the evil Sky Pavilion to apologize. Isn't that enough? This is a waste of time." Whoosh. Ming-Shirin chucked his separation hook out. With the other bosses behind him, Ming-Shirin was emboldened as he made a brazen move. The heaven-grade weapon shot out at speed, and a burst of energy appeared. Boom. The elder was caught off guard. He unleashed a blast of energy and blocked the separation hook. He looked up with a frightful expression as he retreated. The separation hook spun back toward Ming-Shirin's hand. With this attack, the Luo sect disciples and elders on the Holy Land rose into the air at once. It appeared as though a great battle would break out at any moment. No, no, no. Lu Ping looked close to tears. He frantically waved his arms to stop the others. The fourth elder was displeased by Lu Ping and chided him, "Elder Lu, what are you doing?" Lu Ping was beside himself with anxiousness. He hastily shouted, "Fools." The elders exchanged glances. Lu Ping was cursing at his own people while defending outsiders? Did he lose his mind? Lu Ping spoke earnestly, "Listen to me. The people on the flying chariot. They're not the kind of people we can afford to cross." Was it that serious? Indeed, the Luo sect did not want to make new enemies, but they did not want to be overly subservient as well. The Patriarch is still here. Lu Ping, don't you dare look down on your own sect and put the opponent on a pedestal. One of the elders said contemptuously. At this moment, a hoarse voice rang from the flying chariot. I think that Lu Ping is rather tactful. He's got a keen sense. Lang Luo took a step forward into the air. Although his cultivation base was not completely recovered, he had no problem standing on air. Lang Luo hovered before the flying chariot. He lowered his altitude slightly and placed his hands on his back. His black garment and silver mask made the others shiver even though it was not cold. Is this the evil Sky Pavilion's Patriarch? The disciples on the Holy Land were frightened. Lang Luo chuckled and said, "You're not worthy to speak to the pavilion master yet. Let me talk to someone who calls the shots around here." Lu Ping quickly made the introductions. This man was once at the top of the blacklist 300 years ago. Lang Luo. The elders widened their eyes. When they recalled they were about to attack the group earlier, they felt chills running up their spines and their hands trembled. That was close. A figure moved swiftly through the air from the second peak. It passed through the barriers, the skies, the towering trees of the Holy Land, and was above the Holy Land in an instant. Extreme speed and profound cultivation base. The person's face was obscured by a thick beard, and his eyes seemed to glow with flames. The Luo sect disciples looked at him and cried out, "The Grand Elder is here." "Greetings, Grand Elder." The disciples bowed. The bearded middle-aged man in long robes was the Luo sect's Grand Elder, Chu Nan. Chu Nan hovered above the Luo sect disciples. The Luo sect's first Holy Land quietened down. Everyone's eyes were on Chu Nan now. Chu Nan's gaze was full of vigor. He cupped his fists and said, "Luo Sect's Grand Elder Chu Nan greets Senior Lang." Lang Luo said, "Chu Nan. It's been a century. I see that you've become the Grand Elder of the Luo Sect. It's but a stroke of luck. I heard of the Evil Sky Pavilion's arrival, but I didn't think I was worthy to greet the Pavilion Master," Chu Nan said. "Very well," Lang Luo said curtly in his deep and raspy voice. Chu Nan bowed. "You've traveled far. It's only natural for the Luo Sect to treat you with hospitality. May I be so bold as to offer my service to entertain you throughout your stay?" Naturally, he did not want to offend these people. Lang Luo's appearance had already shocked the others. Unfortunately, Lang Luo was like Ming Shirin. They did not like convoluted, elaborate, and superficial pleasantries. He said in a deep voice, "I'll say this again, you have no right to speak to the Pavilion Master." Chu Nan was slightly stunned. He was the Luo Sect's Grand Elder, after all. To think that Lang Luo would refuse him. The Patriarch is cultivating in seclusion. He's not receiving guests. As the third elder, Lu Ping felt that he had the right to speak up. He could not stand this any longer. He said loudly, "Grand Elder, please ask the Patriarch to come out from seclusion. This is an important matter, and it's not a joke." Boom. Chu Nan launched a palm seal. The palm seal was extremely fierce and quick as it shot toward Lu Ping. Lu Ping started with a jump. He did not expect the Grand Elder to lash out at his own people. He raised his arms. Bam. There was a clash of energies. Lu Ping gave a muffled grunt as he fell down. His face was ghastly pale. He was no match for the Grand Elder. This move alone had determined that the Grand Elder was superior. "Shut your mouth. Just keep your eyes peeled," Chu Nan spat. Then, he turned back to face Lang Luo with a smile on his face. "I'm sorry. The young are often ignorant of proper etiquette. That was an embarrassing display, Senior Lang." Judging by his attitude, he was keeping up a polite facade while hiding barbs in his words. "Wow, I'm impressed," Ming Shirin said mockingly. Chu Nan looked at Ming Shirin on the cloud-splitting chariot and said, "This is a conversation between seniors. Juniors have no place here." The statement was clearly filled with thorns. Not only was he reprimanding Lu Ping, but he was taking a jab at Ming Shirin as well. Ming Shirin was about to launch into a fit of rage when Lang Luo raised his right arm. Ming Shirin calmed down and decided to see what was going to happen. Lang Luo stepped forward and spoke with a deep voice, "You like to bully your juniors? What do you mean, Elder Lang? When I was roaming the lands, you were still inside your mother's womb." Whiz. An 8-leaf avatar materialized. The instant it appeared, the 8 leaves on the golden lotus spun swiftly. This resembled a roulette spinning underwater. Energy rippled out from it like water droplets. It vanished within a breath. Chu Nan was standing the closest to it, so he took the brunt of the impact and was sent flying back. All it took was a small display of strength. A fearful expression could be seen on Chu Nan's face now. An 8-leaf avatar. Why would Lang Luo stay in the Evil Sky Pavilion when he has such a profound cultivation base? The elders on the Holy Land could not wrap their minds around this. They were more surprised and worried than anything else. Chu Nan was only at the 7-leaf stage, let alone the second elder, Shan Yunzheng, who was only at the 6-leaf stage. They were no match for an 8-leaf opponent. There was no need to mention the others. With that display of strength, nobody dared to stand up against Lang Luo. For some unknown reason, Lu Ping felt some of his indignance lessened. Lang Luo said in a deep voice, "The Evil Sky Pavilion is only here to reminisce. Don't make me attack." The Holy Land was as silent as a graveyard. The atmosphere was slightly tense and cold. Nobody dared to step forward to face an 8-leaf cultivator. Swoosh. 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 At this moment, several figures appeared in the air above the Holy Land. They came in small groups. Some of them were standing on their swords while others were stepping on oddly shaped weapons. There were also those who came on the backs of beasts. Gradually, they began to fill the sky. The newcomers were dressed in 3 different robes. There were long white robes and long green robes. The people of the Yuan sect and Tian sect are here. Chu Nan calmed down and leveled himself with the others. The Luo sect's Chu Nan welcomes the elders of the Yuan and Tian sects. The disciples with weaker cultivation bases hovered in the air and awaited their orders. The elders of the Yuan and Tian sects walked on air. They cupped their fists at each other as a form of greeting. Then, they turned to face the evil sky pavilion's cloud-splitting chariot. As an impressive lineup. They had the numbers, after all. Clearly, the Luo sect had made ample preparations. Zhou, who was on the flying chariot, did not seem worried at all. He only wanted to see Yuan Tian Luo. He had expected Yuan Tian Luo would not easily show himself. Lang Luo, Pan Litian, and Hua Wudao were more than enough to deal with these people. There was no need for him to do anything. The deadly strike card was now sold at 3,000 merit points apiece. He had 2 cards in his stock. It was a losing deal no matter how he used it. He could only use the heavenly writing power thrice. If they were to fight to the death, the evil sky pavilion would be in a pinch. After all, Lang Luo and Pan Litian's cultivation bases were not completely recovered yet. Therefore, it was best to just intimidate them. Yuan sect's Grand Elder, Zhao Ji, offers his greetings. Zhao Ji of the Yuan sect cupped his fists. Yuan sect's 2nd Elder Sun Hong offers his greetings. Yuan sect's 6th Elder Ding Fanqiu offers his greetings. Ding Fanqiu's confidence was clearly lacking. Ming Shirin waved at Ding Fanqiu. "Hey, we meet again, Ding Fanqiu. I see you've put on some weight since we last met." Ding Fanqiu was speechless. When he recalled having impersonated Ji Tiandao at Measure Heaven River, he felt awkward, and his wizened face turned red from embarrassment. With the actual person here, he could not bring himself to act haughtily. Tian sect's Grand Elder, Fang Wenxian, offers his greetings. An elder from the Tian sect was here as well. The others were all disciples. However, that was enough. With these numbers, they would not be too weak. Moreover, the Luo sect's Holy Land was equipped with formations and barriers. They were confident enough to engage the evil sky pavilion in a discussion. Chu Nan rose and faced Lang Luo as he said, "Please stay your anger, Senior Lang. The elders of the Yuan and Tian sects are here. The pavilion master can say whatever it is he wants to say to me." As soon as Chu Nan finished speaking, something flew out from the flying chariot. It was light and small. All the elders were elite, therefore, they had exceptionally keen eyesight. They were shocked by what they saw. A gourd? The ordinary-looking gourd that flew out looked shabby as it hurtled toward Chu Nan. Chu Nan found this strange as well. He was baffled. He cursed inwardly, the fiend path is the fiend path, after all. Littering on the Holy Land. Just look at their terrible character. He waved his hand as a blast of energy hit the gourd. Swoosh. The gourd was not repelled. It continued on its trajectory toward Chu Nan. It moved slowly as though it was a feather. At this moment, Chu Nan finally felt something was amiss. He raised his hand again. This time, he did not send out a blast of energy but sent out an energy seal instead. A palm seal flew out. Bam! The palm seal collided with the gourd bottle. The gourd bottle started spinning and increased in speed. Darn it! It's a weapon. Chu Nan raised both palms and launched a series of palm seals. Too late. There was a sigh from the cloud-splitting chariot. The gourd bottle suddenly burst forth with golden radiance. It turned into a golden gourd bottle as it dove toward Chu Nan. Chu Nan could not react in time as he was hammered by the gourd bottle from above. Boom! Chu Nan took the brunt of the blow. He fell. Bam! He crashed onto the limestone floor. A human-shaped dent was left on the floor. Elder. Grand Elder. Everyone else was shocked. Meanwhile, Pan Litian floated out of the flying chariot. He seemed to be drunk and tired. He spoke in a clear voice, "You useless mob. Know your place. I'm not Lang Luo who only knows how to dodge." Burp. Pan Litian burped loudly and added in an equally loud voice, "My gourd bottle can be fatal."